Hello and welcome to the FatBoss guide to Kargath Bladefist in Highmaul.
That's right, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to kill the boss in both normal and heroic difficulties, because mechanically they're the same. In heroic it just does slightly more damage. Now if you've already seen our Wall of the Draenor beta preview video for this boss, the boss is more or less the same, but we're remaking a live video just so you have completely fresh footage from live servers with a few more small tips on how to deal with the fight.
Now for this fight you want to bring, for a 30-man group anyway, 2 tanks, 5 healers and a mixture of melee and ranged DPS. You want to bring a couple of strong AoEers though, because of a certain aspect of the fight that we'll get onto later.
Now the encounter itself consists of only one phase, and all the boss will do is just cycle through certain spells that are on set timers. To start off, we're talking about an ability called Blade Dance. Now this ability is completely unavoidable, however you can reduce the amount of damage that people are taking from it by spreading out 7 yards. All it will do is just hit random range targets that will do splash damage to all targets that are nearby. Spread out 7 yards, only one person will take damage from it. The boss's main ability is called Berserker Rush. What the boss will do when he casts this ability is that he'll target a single ranged player and he'll start running towards them. While he's running towards them, he'll start spinning his weapons all over the place and will start doing cleave damage in front of himself. If you're stood in front of him while he's doing this, it'll pretty much one-shot you.
Even if you're a tank, it absolutely destroys you. So make sure once he has fixated, you've got like a couple of seconds before he actually starts charging and cleaving everything. We're out the fucking way, because otherwise you're going to absolutely get destroyed.
Now the cast itself lasts 20 seconds, however you can break it early by making the boss run into one of these fire pillars. Now these fire pillars will constantly keep respawning throughout the fight, and you'll never run out of them. You'll always have enough to break every single berserk. Now as you may have noticed, they do have fire spewing out of them. If you do stand near these fire pillars or within inside them, you will take ticking fire damage, and it does do a significant amount of damage, so you need to make sure that you're nowhere near them. A little tip for the Berserker Rush for ranged DPS is that it's quite a good idea to stand either behind the fire pillars, especially active ones, or very near to them, so that when the boss does target you, because he does prefer to target players that are stood further away or furthest away, the boss will just run straight over the pillar, and then that way you don't need to move at all. Other hazards in the room also include these tiger pits. If you drop down into them,
you just get one hit.
Yep, tigers just claw your face.
It's horrible.
Don't fall into those pits.
Now another boss ability that you need to be very aware of is Chain Hull. Every 1.5 minutes or so, what the boss will do is knock everyone away from him and then run to the middle of the room and start casting. After this cast has happened, he'll grab the 5 nearest players, wrap them up in chains, whirl them around his head, and then throw them into the stands. Now because it is the 5 closest players, you do actually get to pick who you do want to send up into the stands, and generally you want this to be 1 tank, 1 healer, and 3 DPS, and this is where you want to bring your good AoE DPSs, because what you're doing up there is clearing out as many ads as you possibly can before you get lobbed back down into the arena.
Now in the stands there are 3 types of ads that you need to kill, however they have certain priorities. You want to kill the drunken bowl slingers first, because they'll be throwing down Mauling Brews, which is just green AoE circles that deals damage to anyone that stood in them, and this will only hit people underneath. And whilst in the stands they'll do a Vile Breath that the DPS and the tank need to try and avoid, which is just a stun which will slow you down upstairs. And while you're up there you do need to kill as many things as you possibly can to make it easier for everyone's lives downstairs. There's also an Iron Bomber. Much like the Bowl Slinger, will also deal damage to players underneath by applying a dot to random players that stacks, and if it goes to 4 or 5 stacks it actually does start to hurt and is quite dangerous. So again, you want to kill these off as soon as you possibly can. The threat that they have to people upstairs is that when they do eventually die, they'll leave a bomb on the ground that will explode, and if you do get hit by it, again it hurts a lot, so make sure that you do not get hit by it.
And the last type of ad that's up there is the Iron Grunt, and there's a lot of them and they do nothing, really. They just slow you down and they're a pain in the ass, so really you want your tank to pick them up, and using things like Stampeding Roar, once again why Boomkins is so fucking good. So it's things like that, making sure you pick up as many ads as you possibly can. They all have like pretty much no health, so cleaving them all down doesn't take very long, and you would want to kill as many as you possibly can, because you will be thrown down at the end of it. I think it's around 40 seconds or so. A ogre will run around and knock you all off. But if you have had enough up there in the arena, you can just jump down at any point as well.
Now the last mechanic that's in play in this fight is something called Impale. This will only ever go on your tanks, and it's just an 8-second cast that the boss will do that will stun your tank and just start dealing ticking damage to them. Once the stun is finally ended, he'll also apply a debuff to that target that increases the amount of damage they take from Impale by 100%, and this debuff won't drop before the next Impale comes in. So like you can imagine, like every other tank debuff in the game, you either need to taunt on 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. On this one you so happen to taunt on 2, and then that way it will drop before the next target comes up. Now taunting on 2 does also mean that you need to switch which tank is actually thrown up by the Chain Hull. So the first chain hull, the tank that has 2 Impale stacks, goes up first.
Exactly. And then while that tank is upstairs, the other tank takes a couple of Impale stacks, and then once that tank's got 2 stacks, then they just switch around. It constantly is just a rotation of who you're sending up. What you can do here is assign 2 completely separate groups to go up, or you can just make the same group go up and up and up over and over again, just switching the tank around. It's up to you what you want to do.
That's all you need to do. That's all the fight is about. Really, the most dangerous thing in the fight, like we said, is Berserker Rush. But if you're dealing with that fine, then obviously you're just going to have problems with the drunken bile slingers and the iron bombers throwing shit down into the arena. So providing your group upstairs can actually kill off as many of those ads as they possibly can, ideally killing them all. It's entirely possible to kill them all, and that you actually don't get hit by the Berserker Rush. Very few things left in this fight will actually kill you apart from the tiger pits.
Yeah, the cats are pretty fucking vicious. But yeah, it's a really, really good fight. It's quite a complicated fight for a first boss, and overall a really fucking good one if you ask me.
So if this guide helps you out, please do drop us down a like, guys. It helps us out very, very much. And if you would like to see any of our other official FatBoss guides for Highmaul, please do click up on the annotations you see on your screen now, and it'll take you straight to those videos.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.